All right, so today we're going to talk about the best time to buy solar. So we're just going to kind of touch on what's going on in the wonderful world of utilities, the rising electric costs, solar savings, the seasonal benefits, the incentives, tax credits, energy independence, and then of course our giveaway. So the when we think about when's the best time to buy solar, right? So solar being technology, it's common for people to no different than the latest TV or phone out. It's like, ooh, should I wait till the next big thing comes out, or do I get it now? Is this the best cost? Is it gonna price is going to go down as demand goes up. So lots and lots of questions to think about it when it's thinking about like what is the best time. And so there's a number of different factors, obviously, but some of the things that we know with certainty, electricity costs continue to rise. So here in Missouri, Ameren just submitted for their increase of 15.49%. So this would be the third increase in the last three cycles. So in Missouri, which is different than Illinois, in Missouri, the electric costs are regulated by the state government, meaning that there's an actual committee that Ameren has to submit their increases to, which then has to go through hearings, and typically we'll see that negotiated down a little bit before they settle on a number. So I would expect that number to see about 12% is what we'll see actually go into effect. If you go back and look in 2023, we had a 12% increase. 2021 was a 9% increase. So it's about an 18-month process is how quickly they can push through another rate increase. This is the biggest one they've asked for. This is bigger than the last two. And they, of course, have plenty of reasons why they say they need to put in these increases. But obviously, 15.5% is a pretty big jump. And if you've watched some of my other webinars, you know that this isn't really a surprise. We know what's going on. There's a lot happening in the world of the grid, needing lots of upgrades, the change of where we get our power from. Here in Missouri, especially, it's still over 80% of our power coming from coal, and coal plants that have not been retrofitted to be properly cleaned as they're putting off toxins when they're burning. And so Ameren's been fined multiple times by the EPA over this, to the point that they're shutting down factories 50 years early, and changing from coal to what they've proposed currently is natural gas, which obviously shutting down a plant costs a lot of money when you expected it to last another 50 years. And then building a new plant costs a lot of money. And then you're using a fuel source that costs more money than the current fuel source. So lots and lots of reasons behind why we're going to continue to see rates going up in the double digits percentages over the next, really 5 to 10 years. So with that in mind, the sooner you get solar, the more financial benefit you're going to get, because it eliminates those rate increases, right? Once you buy solar, you are locked in on what you're getting your power, the cost of it. Even if you take out a loan for the solar, you now know what that payment is going to be until you pay it off, in which then it's you're continuing to produce electricity with no cost whatsoever. So this, you never have the it's a fixed expense. It's changing a variable expense, something that is going to go up, to a fixed expense. So one of the key reasons why the sooner the better when you're looking at at solar. So and those savings over time, right? These systems are warranted for 25 years. Life expectancy is well over 30 years. That's the longer you wait, just the more you're pushing those savings off. You're never going to come back and recoup that money for what you're paying the power company now, right? So every payment you make on a solar system, you're paying yourself essentially, right? You're paying into that investment that is, saving you money on electricity. It's increasing the home value. So just the compounding interest concept applies. The sooner you start investing in it, the better off you'll be. So now what happens typically when we think about solar, right? Like we've just kind of died down from the busy season of solar, because what happens, for most of us is we're like, oh, that solar's a good idea. And then we kind of get in these winter months when, especially if we're on gas, our gas bill's high, but our electric bill's quite a bit lower. So we kind of push it off. And then summer comes around and it's a double whammy, right? Our electric usage goes up, plus rates are higher during the summer months. So it's something that a lot of people don't realize, right? We just get our bills, they're set on auto pay, and we're just paying it out. But the rate you pay for electricity during the winter months is lower than what you pay during the summer months in most cases. This is definitely 100% certain in Missouri and Illinois, depending on if you use a third-party supplier. You have some different options there because it's deregulated. But as a standard concept, we're using more and we're paying a higher rate for every kilowatt hour that we use in the summer months. So summer rolls around and people start getting those really big electric bills because now they're really seeing the effect of these increases. And everybody's like, oh my gosh, I need to get into solar. Okay, so solar is a construction project. There's engineers involved. Structurally, got to make sure that a home's going to be structurally sound to hold the extra weight of solar panels. Electrical engineering, got to make sure that wiring and everything's done. We are putting a power plant at your house, a clean one, so there's no toxins, there's no pollution coming from it, but it is electricity. We need to make sure that it's done correctly. So that's why there's engineers that are involved to make sure that everything is mapped out correctly. That takes time. Permitting processes with the cities and the counties, that takes additional time. Interconnection with the utility company, right? Because we're not only producing power for your home, but this is connecting into the grid in which we're pushing power back out into the grid, which means that we also got to do what's called an interconnection with the utility company. Again, paperwork that's filled out, it takes time. So we have made it a focal point of ours to make sure that we are as efficient as possible from the time that you say, yes, let's do this, till we're out there on your roof installing. But many of those factors we don't have any control over. So, it's pretty common to be around 6 weeks, depending on the jurisdiction. Some cities take much longer to get permits. So you'll hear from a lot of solar companies that are about 90 days out from the time you say yes. I've heard as much as even is 6 months out from the time you say yes to when they expect to be installing. So when you think about that, if we react, right, my utility bill got really high in the summer, I need to do something about this. Well, by the time you get install, right now has been our busiest time for installs. Same every year. We're busy. The install crews get extremely busy after so many people are saying, oh, let's do this because I got those high bills. So that all being said, getting ahead of it now is there's a lot of strong argument to do that, right? You can get ahead of your next summer's bills by go ahead and getting your process started, start looking at solar, make your decision on purchasing it, and get it installed before those summer bills ever start coming around. You also can build up. It's very, very typical that during those spring months, March, April, May, we're going to produce more power than our home actually needs. So that extra power, then you're sending into the grid, you're able to, you're not going to get a check from the utility company, but you're going to get credit that can be utilized then towards those other high usage months anytime you're not creating everything that you need. So getting in as we get into spring serves a lot of benefit to saving you money and getting you set up for the year in the best possible way. Obviously, incentives, tax credits, it's a 30% federal tax credit the total cost of your system. Depending where you live, there's additional incentives. There's some utility rebates. There's some state incentives in Illinois because of some of the other things they've got going on there. And then also because this time does slow down on the sales side of things, it's the time to get the best deal on a system from a solar company, whether that's us or somebody else. We're currently offering $100 off per panel to the next 10 customers to get signed up before Christmas. So with the savings of up to $7,000, so we're looking at, if they our average system's somewhere around 25 panels, that's $2,500 off a system. That's something that we do not offer any other time of year, but knowing that things slow down and that we're very interested in making sure we have plenty of work on the books, that we can give up our profit on these systems just to make sure that there's work for our entire team all throughout those winter, spring months. So take advantage of that now. Get yourself set up early so that you avoid being in the mad rush of trying to get in during those summer months when it's too late and those electric bills are already high, and take advantage of getting some extra money off because of the seasonality aspect here as well. So, and then of course, other benefits are just your energy independence. So this one's so big for me. I love the fact that we get to help people change their situation, meaning that, when you bought your house, nobody asked you what utility company you wanted to go with. You didn't get to look at some options and say, hey, they've got the best rates or they offer the best service. No, this is the utility company for where you live at, and here is the amount you're going to pay for power. You had no say in it, right? It's not like your homeowner's insurance. You could go and shop and pick, or your internet provider. No, this is the way it is. And so by being able to have the option to install solar, to put in batteries, you can now take control over something that you had no say in whatsoever before. To me, that's just awesome. It's probably my favorite part of the solar industry is saying, hey, here, as a homeowner, you now have an option. You now can take control over where your power comes from, what you're going to pay for it over the long term. You can put yourself in a better situation. In addition to that, when you're producing extra power and you're pushing back into the grid, that's what we've talked about. You've seen my other webinars. We talked about the issues with the grid, and as we become more and more consumers of electricity, plugging in cars, like the grid needs help, and you can do that. Like part of your solar system, you're not always just producing just what you need. There's times when you're pushing power back into the grid, and that helps support the overall health of the grid to make sure that we don't get ourselves in those situations that we've seen a lot out in California, that we've seen in Texas, where they're having those rolling brownouts and rolling blackouts because they can't produce and provide enough power at the times that it's needed. So that's what I've got today.